Despite the suggestion of a private wedding, Queen Florine of Aulni married King Cerulean of Laguna, still cursed to be a blue bird. He was recognized as King of Aulni, ruling together with his wife. Now that Princess Mina was free of her own curse of ugliness, she received many suitors from the other kingdoms, but resented now being loved for her beauty. Time passed, and Cairol, Cerulean's treacherous cousin, appeared in Aulni gravely sick, having been poisoned by the Merchants' Guild. Despite Cairol's involvement in the conspiracy to take the Lagunan throne from him, Cerulean ordered healers to be brought to save him. Cairol's life was saved, but he had lost his eyesight. He and Princess Mina began to fall in love. When Cerulean asked Idro to try to restore his cousin's sight, the magician refused and left Aulni. Now Princess Mina plans to risk contacting the devious fairy Susi to ask for her help. Mina also feared that if she told Cerulean or Florine of her intention to visit the fairy, they would try to stop her. And she knew, on some level, that going would be unwise and very dangerous. But in the face of her longing for the kind of love she was seeking, and seeing the promise of it in the blind lord, she asked a servant, who she knew had been loyal to her and her mother, to arrange in secret a carriage for her and Cairol, after she had relayed her plan to him one afternoon. Rather like the time she had tried to deceive Cerulean all that time ago, she veiled herself for the journey late that night. When they reached Susi's clearing, they found the fairy's palace already human-sized, and the lady of the palace was waiting at the entrance. Mina felt a deep sense of unease. She stepped from the carriage and took Cairol's hand and guided him to the ground, then lifted her veil.
"Goddaughter,"
said the fairy as Mina led the prince towards her.
"You've been away so long. I've missed you, and how beautiful you are now, and what a handsome guest you've brought with you. Come inside and speak with me."
Mina nodded, took Cairol's hand, and followed the fairy inside, her heart beating fiercely in her chest. The three of them sat around the dining table. Food and drink was soon brought by Susi's servants. Mina and Cairol explained the situation, and the fairy nodded, smiling occasionally. When Mina asked if her godmother could do anything to restore Cairol's eyesight, she said,
"Why, yes, dear Mina. Let us speak to the spirit right away."
A confusion of emotion swirled inside the princess as she followed Susi, her hand on Cairol's middle back, guiding him. When the three of them were standing before the altar, the spirit spoke.
"Good evening, young Susi. You've brought the little fish back to me."
A wicked smile appeared on the fairy's face.
"I have, and would you know she is unhappy being so beautiful?"
Sensing danger, Mina's heart began to beat faster. She had not told her godmother this at the table. The spirit replied,
"Is that so?"
"Yes,"
said Susi.
"She wants to be loved, but not for her beauty."
Hearing that, Cairol found Mina's hand and squeezed it. Tears started to form in her eyes. But then the door to the shrine room slammed shut, and they heard the lock click. And like Cerulean, so long ago now, Cairol and Mina found themselves frozen like statues. Susi continued.
"And she has found that, with this blind lord of Laguna, whose sight she wishes us to restore."
"I see,"
replied the spirit.
"But if we were to do so, he might love her for her beauty after all."
"Indeed,"
replied Susi.
"So we must make sure that pure love remains true."
"I understand,"
said the spirit, and the altar seemed to glow brightly.
"Let it be so."
Suddenly, still with Mina's hand in his, Cairol could see again. But the old curse on poor Mina had been restored. She was once again ugly and misshapen. When he saw her, Kyril cringed and gasped instinctively, letting go of her hand. Mina, also having her old foul personality return to her, flared with anger and glared at her godmother, who, in fact, seemed exhausted by the ritual. In a flash, the princess lunged for the fairy. Cerulean's perch clattered to the floor, waking Florine. She saw her husband picking himself up off the floor. Her heart and body swelled with love, and he suddenly took her in his arms and kissed her deeply. But then, after staring into her eyes for a long moment, he said, with horror, "Mina!" Letting go of his wife, he burst from the bedchamber with her following, and they headed for the princess's room. They found it unlocked, but empty. As they came out of the room, they called to some servants, asking if they had seen the princess. They said that they hadn't. He told them to search the palace, and to tell the other servants to help them. The king and queen rushed to the gardens, but she was not there either. Eventually, one of Mina's closest servants, when they heard about the search, sought out Cerulean and Florine, and told them that the princess had gone to see her godmother. Hearing this, Cerulean called for soldiers to ride with him to the clearing. Florine insisted on riding with them too. But, when they got there, they saw a strange and tragic scene. The fairy palace was gone. In its place were the bodies of Susi and, poor Mina, her beauty restored again. Kyril knelt over her body, heartbreak and shock in his eyes. And, standing ominously to one side, was the altar of the spirit. Cerulean and Florine rushed to Mina, and confirmed, sadly, that she was dead. Florine knelt also in front of her sister's body. Cerulean went to Kyril and put his hand on his shoulder, then helped him to his feet. Florine, Kyril, and the soldiers would take Mina's body back to the palace, and they decided too that it would be safer to take the altar back with them and lock it away. Cerulean and a few of the soldiers would stay and burn Susi's body. The following day, a funeral was held for Mina in her favourite palace garden, which, Florine announced, would be renamed Mina's Garden. After the period of mourning was over, King Cerulean and Queen Florine continued to rule over the kingdom. It had been adjusting well to its lack of outside trade. Kyril remained in the palace. Cerulean, in the absence of Idro, considered the logistics of retaking Laguna. Even if he should do so, would he take Florine with him? In which case, who would govern Alni? Despite feeling the spectre of his ancestors looming over him, he was happy here, and also unwilling to spend the lives of his new people on a military campaign. Instead, he reasoned, if the Merchants' Guild governed well in Laguna, the duty he would have to Laguna would have been fulfilled. If they did not, support for restoring his family's position would be easy to find, in which case Kyril, who appeared to have developed a less selfish temperament from his period of blindness and the loss of Mina, could perhaps be trusted to rule in his stead, but as duke, not king. With that decision made, it was not long before Florine was with child. And by the time the new little prince was born, the Garden Kingdom was flourishing. you.